Hey guys, welcome back to part 3 in my makeup collection series. If you are just joining us, I am going to be posting my makeup collection every week. There are going to be 6 videos in this series. We are on video number 3. I already filmed like my face base collection. We talked about blushes last week. Today, we're going to chat about bronzers. I don't have a ton of bronzers, but I still thought that I would show you my bronzer collection, let you know my thoughts on each of the bronzers, and it's another wonderful part of my makeup collection. I will probably also put face palettes in here with my bronzers, just because bronzer is like one of the smaller aspects of my collection, and I don't have a ton of face palettes either, so I'll probably just mush it all into one. If you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Kelly, and I love all things makeup and beauty. I love talking, I love makeup, I love talking about makeup, so if you like to chat about makeup too, I would love to have you subscribe and be part of the K-Bella fam, but why don't we go ahead and start chatting about some bronzers. Alright, so here we have it, my bronzers and face palettes. I considered anything to have more than one product a face palette, so some are just blushes, some are just highlighters, some are a mixture. But you can see I have my single bronzers along this side, and there's not that many of them, so it just made sense to kind of push this together. We will start first with my single bronzers and then move on to face palettes. Let's go ahead and start at the top with my Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Airbrush bronzer, and I have the shade 2 medium. The one light just looked way too light, even though I am of a lighter skin tone. I love this shade. I feel like it is beautiful. So many people that I know have panned it, and I look like I haven't even made a dent, but I wear this all the time. It's a beautiful shade, super creamy and blendable, goes on nicely. I can build it up and blend it out beautifully, and this has to be one of my favorites, plus the packaging is amazing. Then we have a little mini here, and I should pull it out again. This is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Bronzer in Luminous Bronze Light. Now, when I first got this little mini, I loved it. I thought it was great. I used it all of the time. The Charlotte Tilbury is matte. This one gives you more of a luminous sheen. But then I had this in a couple project pans and kind of got tired of it. Thought about decluttering it, and I was like, you know what? Don't declutter it after unsuccessful panning projects. Just tuck it away, try it again later. And so I really should pull this out again to see if my feelings have changed about it. The only cream bronzer you will find in my collection is this one by Rare Beauty. I have the shade Happy Soul. I really enjoy this one. I don't love cream products, but I think this one is great. I find that with cream products, I either have to spend so much time building them up, or I like blend them into nothing. I don't have an issue with this one. I swipe it on the cheeks. I use my e.l.f. airbrush, stipple brush, whatever it's called, to blend it out, and then I'll go in with a powder on top, and it just looks beautiful. I also have this one by Sigma. This one is a matte bronzer in the shade medium. This one initially I wasn't sure about. I didn't know if I liked it. I felt like I had to build it up too much. And then I filmed a video after trying it a couple times, and actually it looked beautiful. It built up nicely. It blended out nicely. It was a great tone for me. So I don't know if there was like an overlay that I had to get through, if it was just user error or whatnot, but now I do really enjoy this blush, and it's super pigmented. This one right here by Dior is my Dior Forever Natural Bronze in the shade 05 Warm Bronze. This one is one that I have to build up. It looks like it's going to be deep and dark, but I actually do have to spend some time building this one up. And you can see I have a little bit of hard pan on there. At least I hope you can see. Now this is one, I don't know if I have hard pan just because of the bronzer itself, or if I have hard pan because I was going in with the Rare Beauty and then going in with my Dior, but I've heard other people say that their Dior had hard pan as well, and my other bronzers don't. So just something to note. I think it's a good bronzer, but I do have to build it up. My newest bronzer is this one right here by Too Faced. This is the Natural Chocolate Caramel Cocoa Bronzer. This is the Healthy Glow Bronzer. It is their new one, at least in July. It came out with that chocolate collection, and it says natural chocolate. You can see I have not swatched it yet. I have not dipped into it yet. Influencer actually sent this to me, and it just came today. So lucky for me, I get to add this into my collection, but I don't have any thoughts on it yet, other than I think the packaging is super cute. We're going to jump into palettes, and I'm just grabbing and going. First is this one by House of Sillage. It was their collab with Disney. This one is a blush and a highlighter. What are the names? Complexion duo. So the highlighter is Joyful and the blush is Pink Bow. I find the highlighter to be too deep on me. I can use it more as like a blush topper, but I don't really use it that way. It would look better on more of a medium to tan skin tone, but I think the blush is amazing. It doesn't look used because I don't really reach for this very often, and I don't have a reason why, but I think the packaging is great, and I do really like this blush. If I'm remembering correctly, you do have to build it up a little bit. I really do love this Pat McGrath trio. You can't get it anymore, I don't think, but it is the Divine Blush and Glow trio, and I have the shade Galactic Sun. So it has two of her blushes and her highlighters. This one, I'm going to say it wrong. Divine Rose and Desert Orchid. Okay, so this one is Divine Rose, this one is Desert Orchid, and then the highlighter is Golden Nectar. Now the highlighter is too deep for me, so I don't really reach for it very often, but these blushes are amazing. This one right here, it's a nude shade. It looks like it's not going to be much, but it's super pigmented. And then the Divine Rose, I can build this one up a little bit more, but I get a beautiful rosy shade. This one is more matte. This one has more of a sheen. I love the formula. I love the texture, and I think this palette is great. Here's an oldie but a goodie. It is the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow in the shade Fair Medium. So this one Smags got me years and years ago. I don't love the highlighter. I feel like the highlighter is very basic. If you want a natural glow, you don't want something to be too overboard, you may love this highlight, but when we talk about my highlighters next week, you'll see that I love a beaming highlight. Like, I want to be seen from outer space. This highlighter doesn't give it to me, but I love this Sculpt shade. I don't know if you can see how much of a dent I have there, but this is more of a contour Sculpt shade, so I'll go in with this one first in the hollows of my cheeks, and then another bronzer to kind of blend everything out, but I still reach for this one all the time. We have a blush palette, the oldest blush in my collection by Hourglass. This is the Ambient Lighting Blush Palette. It has Luminous, Flush, Incandescent Electra, and Mood Exposure. Smags got this for me several years ago. My favorite one is, oh, sorry, I just hit the camera. My favorite one is this one right here on the end. I would typically mix these two together. I didn't reach into this one very often. I would either reach into this one on its own or reach for both of them. I don't know if you can tell, this one's pretty flat. These two are still domed. I love these blushes. I think they're super pigmented. I think they blend out nicely, and I really should reach for this more. I kind of forget about it sometimes in my collection, but I do enjoy this one. Then we have a full-on face palette by Jouer, the Champagne and Macarons set. This one is Sweet Cheeks. It was the lighter of the two. I don't know that you can get this anymore, but I picked this up because I really wanted to try the Citrine highlighter. That was like everybody's go-to highlighter back in the day. And then the bronzer in Suntan. I don't really reach for these blushes if I'm being honest, and I considered decluttering this, but I do like the bronzer. The Citrine highlighter is a bit deep for me, but overall, I can get away with it, so I'm keeping this for now. I don't think it's a love. It's not a hate, but it's not a love. I have others that I prefer, but I'm going to keep this in my collection for now. I decided to throw my Ofra Samantha March Life's a Draft palette in here because even though it has eyeshadows, I don't love the Ofra eyeshadows, and I'm probably not going to talk about this with my eyeshadow palettes. I didn't think the colors were bad. I don't think it's anything Sam did. I just don't love the quality, so I reach into this for these face shades down here. You have the blush, which I believe was the shimmer blush in her original collab. Then you have the bronzer, which I believe was the matte bronzer in her original collab. And then the highlighter right here. I like the blush. The bronzer is okay. It pulls a little bit warm on me, but really I'm keeping this for the highlighter. I think the highlighter is amazing. I love Ofra highlighters, and I like Sam as a content creator, so I want to keep this because I want to support her. This blush palette was sent to me by my friend Emily. She just had it in her collection. She saw in a video that I wanted to try the blushes out, and she was kind enough to send this my way. This is the Lunar Beauty Moon Prism Blush Palette. It is absolutely stunning. You can see here we get 6 shades. It looks like Soleil is the only one with a sheen. Gravity might have a little bit of a sheen as well, but most of them are matte. I typically like to just mix and match. I take Spacey and I'll mix Spacey and Stargaze, and I'll kind of put them like further back on my cheeks and then reach into this pink shade and put it on the apples of my cheeks. I find these to be buildable. You don't get full opacity on like your first swipe, but you can definitely build these up and they look beautiful on the skin. This is the Benefit Cheekstar's Reunion Tour. I don't typically purchase face palettes like this, but I decided I wanted this back in my collection because I did want to have Hoola Bronzer back in my collection. I wanted Dallas back in my collection, and I wanted to try the highlighter in the shade Cookie. I know I love the Hoola Bronzer. Dallas has been reformulated. I like the older formulation better. I think Cookie is an amazing highlight. It looks great on my skin tone, super beaming, and I was surprised by these two blushes. They both have more of a sheen. Sugar Bomb is more of a mauve shade. Georgia is obviously more of a peachy shade, and overall I'm really happy with this palette. Then I have my Ofra Feelin' Myself Highlighter Trio. I really enjoy this trio. We have Blissful, what is this one? Pillow something? Pillow Talk, okay. Pillow Talk and Rodeo Drive. I would say that obviously I reach into Rodeo Drive the most because that's the one that has pan. It was in a Project Pan. But I also love Blissful because it's a beautiful rose gold shade. I don't reach into Pillow Talk as much as I thought I would because it's a very light pink. But overall, I love these highlighters. They're super beaming and beautiful and bright, and you can see them from outer space. So love this one. Last but not least is one that I keep from Becca. I don't really use it anymore, but I keep it more so for memory's sake. This was a collab with Jaclyn Hill, and this was the, what were they calling them? It's the duo where you had a highlighter and a blush. The splits, I guess, maybe is what they were called. And so this one had the Prosecco Pop highlighter, which is too dark for my skin tone, and the Amaretto blush. I never reached into the highlighter because, like I said, it was too deep for me, but I really liked the Amaretto blush. It was a beautiful, like, natural nude shade. Like I said, I really no longer reach into this, and I probably could have decluttered it years ago, but I keep it because it was limited edition. It's nostalgic of a time from so long ago when Jaclyn Hill and Becca were collaborating a ton, but I loved this one at the time, and I'll keep it for now. Alright, but that's going to do it for this one, my single bronzers and my palette collection. I hope you're enjoying this series. We are almost there. I still have to do my lip collection and eyeshadow palettes. And then I think we're done. And then I think that's it. So if you are enjoying this series, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed before you go. Like I said, we still have lips and eyeshadow palettes to get through. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!